sixth race weekend of the BMW IBSF Bobsleigh and Skeleton World Cup and a return to Sigulda in Latvia, about a day's travel away from Lillehammer, our last stop. And this, for most of our athletes, will be the scene of the European Championships. First up on a cold, crisp Friday morning, women's bobsleigh, the fifth round of their World Cup. And this is the make-up race because they didn't compete in the season opener in Beijing. Sigulda is a tough track for new drivers, especially high speed and demanding at the bottom. As Keisha Love discovered, with Jasmine Jones behind her, they had a good run going right down towards the penultimate corner, corner 15. She brought it down a little early. Centrifugal force rolled her off the end of the corner, and although they slid all the way up to the line, they were too badly battered to go again. Australia's Brianna Walker lay in fifth position after the first of the two heats. Her previous best on this track in only one World Cup appearance was an 18th place in 2022, so this was a big difference. She just had 0.08 of a second to try and catch fourth position Melanie Hassler. First job, though, to keep herself in the lead over Austria's Kathi Beil, who had put together two smooth runs. She did so, guaranteeing herself a top 5 finish here in Sigulda. In fourth place, Mel Hasler and her brand new brakewoman, Muswama Kambundi. Muswama lives in London. She's the second youngest of 4 track and field athlete sisters in her family. They got off to a great start, and the newly crowned Swiss champions, who won the title just before the new year started, putting in a good run for fourth position. The Swiss driver's previous best on this track, also a fourth place finish in December 2020, and she would match that. The top 3 sleds after the first heat had all been from Germany. Lisa Buchwitz with Vanessa Mark behind her, the World Championship silver medalist, once more in medal-winning form here. No previous World Cup drives on this track for Lisa Buchwitz in only her 10th World Cup start as a driver, but it didn't show. Late skid from 15 down to 16 would cost her a little bit of time over Melanie Hassler, but not enough to deny her a medal here in Sigulda for the first time with a brand new track record. And the records didn't stop there. In second place, the world champions, Kim Kilicki and Leonie Fiebig. They won last week in Lillehammer, and now we're looking to try and close out another opportunity here. Her previous best, third, second and second in 3 World Cup results for Kim Kilicki, and this looked like being another top draw effort. Narrowly ahead of Lisa Buchwitz down towards the bottom of the track, but with great speed on board. Out of the final corner, the track record tumbled again. 50.66 the final mark. The record was 50.72 as the race began. And that piled the pressure on the first heat leader, Lara Nolte, last year's winner, our Olympic champion, with debutante brakewoman Claudia Schussler behind her. Her first race since January 2022. Her last race here in Sigulda had been a Europa Cup victory with Stephanie Schleider 2 years earlier. Nolte had the lead early on, but at the bottom of the track, when it's fastest, a little squirrely run into the final corner would cost her. She finished in second place. Victory again for Kim Kilicki and Leonie Fiebig. Their next medal run is continuing. Kilicki and Fiebig victorious from Nolte and Schussler, with Buchwitz and Mark completing an all-German podium sweep. Lara Nolte leading the World Cup rankings by a reduced gap over Kim Kilicki. Nearly lunchtime before men's skeleton got the day underway for our head-first sliders. The European Championships up for grabs. USA's Austin Florian lay in 10th position after the first of the 2 heats in a field of 36 starters. He'd had one of the best runs in his career here in Latvia. In 3 previous World Cup outings, he'd been 19th, 24th and 16th. This was a whole different level of performance from the American. Driving off a really quick start with some great lines at the fast bottom of the track, building his speed. Florian vaulted himself into the lead over Italy's Amedeo Bagnis with a convincing second heat. Florian still led as we got to the top 6 sliders. Germany's Felix Kaisinger, European bronze medalist 3 seasons ago, lay in 6th position, but in a tough tussle with the sleds just outside of the medal spots. Early on, it seemed there was nothing between him and the American, and that nothing came down to almost nothing at all at the bottom of the track. A little wriggle from 15 to 16, and he was just about where he needed to be, but it was always going to be close at the line. Just 100th of a second in it, he took the lead with 5 to go. As we got to the top 3, Kaisinger was still in the leader's box. Last year's winner in Sigulda and last year's European champion in Altenburg, Matt Weston, lay in 3rd spot. 36 hundredths off the lead, but nearly 13 hundredths in hand over Felix Kaisinger. And he accelerated away, an improved run in his second heat, managing to keep the German at bay. Down through the final corner, he had just enough in the tank to take it at the line by 0.2 of a second and guarantee himself a World Cup podium. Marcus Wyatt had finished in 2nd place a year earlier behind Matt Weston. He lay in 2nd after the first heat. Another strong start from Wyatt, just 300ths added to his advantage from the first heat over his teammate, and he continued to build that speed down the track. From corner 11 down to 15, the real high-speed graveyard of time, he kept his speed alive. As he came out of the final corner, he would be just 100th slower than Weston on the run, enough to take the lead and guarantee himself the European Championship gold. Final slider, Ying Cheng of China. Not eligible for European Championship honours, but certainly up for the World Cup win. For the very first time in his World Cup career, he was the last man out. Only one Chinese athlete has previously claimed a World Cup win. Gungwen Chang in a 3-way tie in Innsbruck for gold with Christopher Groothair and Matt Weston before the 2022 Games. Yin had the chance to win it on his own. And he did. Previous experience of Sigulda coming into play, he held his nerve and his lead and drove to victory. The first for him and only the 2nd in World Cup skeleton sliding for China. Yin Qing victorious, silver going to Marcus Wyatt and bronze to Matt Weston behind the Chinese slider. Christopher Groothair still leads the World Cup standings, but it's Marcus Wyatt who is the new European skeleton champion. And as the sun started to sink towards the horizon, it was time for women's skeleton and their battle for European Championship honours. After the first of 2 heats on the tough Latvian track, Hanna Neise, the Olympic champion, lay in 5th position, just 23 hundredths off the lead. At this stage, Kimberly Boss, coming up from 15th place with a shattering track record 2nd heat, was the runaway leader. Neise would need all of her experience to try and overcome her Dutch rival, despite having nearly 0.6 of a lead after the first heat. By the midway point, she had just crept back in front, and lower down, where the corners come thick and fast at high speed, she crept over the line, 1/3 of a second in front, guaranteeing herself a top 5 finish. Next up, young British slider Amelia Coltman. Coltman, in only her 9th World Cup start, made her debut on this track in December 2020. Last week in Lillehammer, she posted her career best World Cup result with a 6th position, but here she lay just a 10th out of the medals. Could she dream of grabbing her first World Cup medal where she made her debut? She held a lead over Neise down to the final few corners, but at the line was just a whisker behind in 2nd place with 3 still to come. As Coltman rued her mistake, Mimi Reniva, third after the first heat, had her second and final run at the track. Just 11 hundredths off the lead, Reniva put down a smoking second heat. She tidied up some of the errors from the first run and absolutely flew, taking the lead early on from the Olympic champion and racing away down at the bottom of the track. She would end up just 4 hundredths of a second off Kimberly Boss's new track record with an enormous lead and 2 sleds remaining. Janine Flock of Austria, 3 consecutive wins on this track up to last season's race where she just finished off the podium, but always a threat at a track where she knows her way around. She does lots of pre- and post-season sliding here, and Latvia is definitely her second home. In the European Championship stakes, she's had 11 consecutive medals in 11 seasons, but this was not to be a 12th. She drifted away, unusually off form on the second run, just missing the timing fractionally, and at the line, she was only in 4th place. Reniva led with 1 to go. The final sled also perhaps a slight surprise. Although she was a bronze medalist 12 months earlier, Kim Marmans has never yet claimed a World Cup win. She led the first heat by 9 hundredths from Flock, 11 hundredths from Reniva, and after a strong second start that matched the Canadian to the 100th, it was game on. But again, mistakes creeping in towards the bottom of the run reduced her speed. A skid off 14 and again off 15 would cost her, and in the final corner she dropped behind at the line. Initial disappointment as Mimi Reniva, slack-jawed, realised she'd won the race. But Kim Marmans in the silver medal position, still a career best, and she's also the European champion. While Mimi Reniva, the winner, tries to figure out where that final run came from, Kimberly Boss still leads the World Cup standings, but it's Kim Marmans who's the European champion from Hannah Neiser and Amelia Coltman. Saturday morning and a more relaxed schedule with the bobsleigh and women's monobob first up. Again, the European Championship medals up for grabs. USA's Keisha Love won the season opener in La Plagne, won again last week in Lillehammer, now on another brand new track in the top 6. In the second heat, trying to overhaul Melanie Hassler of Switzerland, the then leader. 1800s in the bank from the first heat. Keisha with another strong start, finding 500s more in the start area and trying to hang on, but the second heat was not as tidy as her first trip down the track. Didn't have the best speed at the bottom, just managing to hold on 0.3 of a second in front of Melanie Hassler. In 5th place, a 1/4 of a second off the lead, America's Alana Myers-Taylor. Alana putting in a big start in both heats. She returns to driving this season. She's not yet managed to claim a World Cup medal in monobob. She wasn't racing in the World Cup last year. She was a multiple winner and medalist in the Monobob World Series before she missed last season to have her second child, but she's back on her best form and taking the lead with 4 to go, giving herself another medal shot. In 4th place after the first of the 2 heats, the Monobob World Champion Lara Nolte. Top 4 were covered by just 13 hundredths of a second. This really was anybody's gold to take. A good second heat by Nolte would put her right in the frame, but even early on, she was losing ground to Alana Myers-Taylor, who was 12 hundredths of a second behind her after the first of the 2 heats. Could she hang on? It was tied into the final corner and tied at the line. They jointly led the race with 3 sleds still to go. Medals not guaranteed. Just 200s ahead of Nolte from the first of the 2 heats, Lisa Buchwitz, her teammate. She knew she needed a good start and she got one. An epic start, 5:55, breaking the start record set by Cynthia Appiah the previous season. Lisa was on a flyer. Stunning driving down the track. Better lines than we'd seen from almost anybody. Great speed at the bottom on a track that was slowly losing its potential. Buchwitz had what it took, driving herself into a 0.4 of a second advantage with 2 to go. Maureen Zimmer, second in the first heat, dropped by the wayside, meaning Buchwitz still led as we got to Andrea Grecu. Grecu, last year's silver medalist in the European Championships. Her first run had been excellent. Her second, though, did not start quite so cleanly, and it was clear that the early advantage of Buchwitz's start was going to continue to unroll down the track. Andrea Grecu never quite got back on terms with her German rival. Previously a European silver medalist in women's bobsleigh on this track, she crossed the line in second. She again, the silver medalist, Buchwitz, taking her 4th Monobob win of the season. Lisa Buchwitz, Andrea Grecu, and then Lauren Alter and Alana Myers-Taylor the overall podium. Lisa Buchwitz wins again, and she is racing away at the top of the World Cup standings. She is also the new European champion, with silver for Grecu and bronze for Lauren Alter. Saturday lunchtime, and as ever here in Sigulda, a double two-man weekend, so the first of the World Cup races for the two-man sleds. Simon Friedli, formerly a silver and bronze medal winner on this track, in contention for another medal in the second heat. Both of his two-man World Cup medals have come in Sigulda. Friedli knows how to get down this track fast, but he's also had crashes. In the first heat, 2200s off the lead. In the second, trying to find a bit more pace. A good run to take the lead away from Patrick Baumgardner of Italy, but still 4 to go. Francesco Frigic is on his longest winless streak of his entire career, but he's always a threat. A 7-time gold medalist, 2-time silver medalist here in Sigulda. He lay in 4th place after the first heat, 700s out of any medal contention, but a great start from him and new brakeman Matthias Sommer, and a convincing drive down the track put Frigic as the fastest man of the second heat. With 3 to go, he led. Mickey Vogt, a silver medal and 3 bronzes in his appearances in Sigulda. Safe to say the Swiss gets the best out of this track, and with long-time brakeman Sandro Mikkel, they started strongly as well, only giving away 600ths of a second to Francesco Frigic. But they only had 700ths from the first heat to play with, so Vogt would need to drive himself into the medals. And all the way down, it looked as though he just had enough speed at the line. 300ths of a second, he was guaranteed a medal. Just 100th of a second quicker than Mikkel Vogt in the first heat. In second place had been Johannes Lochner and Georg Fleischhauer. They were last year's double winners in Sigulda, but they too were off the lead. 700ths off the lead in the first heat, and the second did not go Hansi's way. Looking for his 75th World Cup medal. He was in 3rd place as he approached the line with 1 sled still to go. He might be out of the medals altogether. Mickey Vogt still led from Francesco Friedrich. The final slider, Adam Amor, with new brakeman Benedikt Hertel this season, made his World Cup debut in race 2 in Sigulda last year with brother Issam braking. Since then, he's had 2 bronze medals in this season, and he led after the first of the 2 heats. This is a tough track to get the best of, but Amor did in both runs. He didn't have the fastest start, though he was very close to it. Second quickest with both getaways. The fastest man down in Heat 1 was also the fastest man down in Heat 2, and he ran away to win his first World Cup gold medal here at the scene of his debut. First congratulations were from Francesco Frigic for our newest race winners, Adam Amor and Big Benny Hertel. Francesco Friedrich, taking the bronze medal ahead of Johannes Lochner, closes the gap at the top of the leaderboard. But it's Adam Amor, the winner, from Mickey Vogt and Francesco Friedrich. Sunday morning and women's bobsleigh back in action, this time with the added spice of the European Championship medals too. Second race of the weekend for the women's bobsleigh, and they've had Monobob as well, but still this Sigulda track producing drama. In the first heat, Great Britain's Adele Nichol and Kaya Placide, their first time here in Sigulda, reminding everybody how tricky the exit of corner 13 can be, rolling off into 14, the sled spitting Kaya, the brakewoman, out. They were both okay. They were not alone either in being caught out by the number of traps around this Sigulda track. Brianna Walker hasn't been here many times either. Height into the woodwork in 15, rolling off the exit. Brakewoman Chiara Rodingius holding on inside, so they recorded a finish. Keisha Love crashed out in the first race here with Jasmine Jones behind her, with Emily Renner in the sled. In the second heat, she too had a problem, rolling off 13, and Renner getting spat out once more. Again, both athletes bruised after their crash. So it was a delayed race by the time Alana Myers-Taylor got to the line, waiting for the previous two sleds who had both crashed to be tidied up. At this stage, Andrea Greco of Romania, a former silver medalist on the track, was leading the race, having been 10th in the first heat. But Alana was in no mood to give anything away. 7th in the first race of the weekend. On Friday, she was looking for a top 5 result here and possibly to challenge for a medal. Bronze medalist on Friday, Lisa Buchwitz with Vanessa Mark behind her, tied for the bronze in the first of the two heats. She had a healthy enough advantage over Alana Myers-Taylor. Her focus was all about trying to get in front of the sleds that still remained, but a big skid late in the run out of 14 and an uncomfortable run up to 16 robbed her of speed. She'd have the lead, but would it be good enough for a medal? 3 sleds remained. Third place after the first of the two heats, last year's European Championship silver medalist Melanie Hassler, this time with Mara Morell behind her. Hassler had a good day one, 4th place, just out of the medals. She was determined not to let this one slip away. Best speed out of corner 11. She was closing in on Buchwitz. Would it be another dead heat? Skid, but the best speed into the final turn saw her just creep across the line in front, guaranteeing herself a World Cup and European Championship medal. Kim Kalicki lay second after the two heats, Friday's gold medalist in the women's bobsleigh race, this time with Annabelle Gallander behind her, with whom she'd been the bronze medalist in the European Championships in Altenburg a season earlier. She had a great opportunity, good speed down at the bottom, a relatively clean exit out of the key corner 14, and pretty clean up to 16 as well. She'd take the lead away from Melanie Hassler, but would it be enough for gold? The final sled, European champions Lauren Alter and Nela Skuten. They claim gold and the European title in Altenburg 2023, but after a disappointing first race where they finished in the silver medal position behind Kim Kalicki, would she be able to hold on to her advantage? The answer, a definitive yes. A good drive early on, kept the speed alive, built her early advantage, and had top speed in a slightly rocky corner 16, but the end result, victory for Lauren Alter and Nela Skuten, ahead of Kim Kalicki and Annabelle Gallander, with Melanie Hassler and Mara Morell taking the bronze. Happy Nolter leads the World Cup standings and is a double European champion. The final action Sunday afternoon in Sigulda, the two-man race for the European Championship. The Latvian track has a reputation as being hard to get down. It's got a number of really tricky corners. Aleksej Boran and Bartosz Sinkiewicz proved that even the exit of corner 15 is not immune from turning sleds over in the first heat. They were okay. In the second heat, Mattia Variola with Jose Abu, looking for a place in the top 10, also discovered another of the pitfalls of the Sigulda track. Late out of 13, rolling into corner 14, exactly where so many have done it before. None of the crews who crashed out all weekend have been injured. Into the race itself and in the top 5, Simon Friedli, a previous silver medalist in European Championships on this track in the two-man. Friedli with Andreas Haas behind him. Haas in his third Europeans with a third different Swiss driver. And they were challenging to stay ahead of Patrick Baumgartner of Italy, who had just shattered the track record set just a moment earlier by Emil Sapoulis of Latvia. They didn't match a track record, but they did just squeeze in front by 100th. Adam and Issam Amour, the brothers from Germany, were just 100th out of the medals, 4th place after the first of the two runs. The previous day's two-man winner, Adam Amour, with his brother behind him, not only matching their fastest start of the competition, but finding a flawless run down the track to race away from Simon Friedli and to break the new track record into the bargain. A serious challenge for the gold. Three sleds to go and the gauntlet had been thrown down. Francesco Friedrich with 20-year-old newcomer Tim Becker behind him. Becker with just 5 two-man races in his career so far, none at the senior level. But they got 2 very strong starts, and Friedrich is never one to be counted out on a track where he has 7 two-man wins in 11 starts. Today was not to be the day he added to that tally, as he dropped back to second with 2 sleds still to come. In the silver medal position, Mickey Vogt and Sandro Mikkel of Switzerland, just 100th off the lead in the first heat. They'd finished in the silver medal position behind Adam Amour on Saturday in the two-man competition, and last year's European Championship silver medalists had every hopes of overhauling him for glory, but those were to just wither a little in the final straights. The speed going away, and Vogt, although he was in lead onto the final corner, would come up shy at the finish line. 600s back, 1 to go. Amour still in the lead. The final sled, Johannes Lochner with Eric Bruckert behind him. They are the reigning two-man European champions, having won the title last year in Altenburg. And after Hansi dropped off the medal podium on day 1 on Saturday, it was by no means guaranteed that he would get the lead back. But the fastest speed at the bottom meant that it was going to be very, very tight at the line. A skid into 16, big height on the way in, and behind at the line by 700s. Victory going to Adam and Issam Amour. A brand new track record, the 2 fastest starts in the competition, and they are the European champions 2024, ahead of Mickey Vogt and Johannes Lochner.